Yep. Um, I thought that the game was a game that we needed to build off of, a game that we needed to be able to identify and evaluate what guys can comprehend, what concepts. But at the end of the day, I felt like I needed to know as a coach, who can I count on to fight? Who can I count on to be disciplined? Who can I count on to know the plays, to execute? And that was, for me, the disappointing thing. I knew they were nervous going into the game, had nothing to do with no disrespect to Simmons, but more to do with playing in front of people for the first time, playing an opponent for the first time. And I wanted them to embrace being anxious about that. But I thought it would fuel them to play with a sense of urgency that we didn't have. But at the end of the day, we evaluate that, and we evaluate, how many guys can I count on? Is the number 7, 8, 9? I want the number to be 12, 13, 14. It may not can be that. So that's for me, the great thing is that I get to identify who is who and who can help us win games. Questions?
How do you draw the line between wanting to see new people, new combinations, and wanting people you're going to count on being out there playing together?
I think I draw the line by telling them beforehand that I have 12, 13 starters. You're going to determine how I evaluate who I roll with. Obviously, they all know, and we all know, that in order to be a great team, you can't play 12 guys. It's never been done before. And that's hard to do. But the ones that can buy into the system, that can understand what we're doing, play with a fire. To be honest, I'm a little disappointed that Dennis Evans goes out there and has a presence when I need Brandon and Emmanuel to have a presence. Until Dennis is able to figure out the pace of college basketball, they should be dominating that spot, and they didn't. They look tentative, they look, apprehensive, unsure at times. That bothers me.
Kenny, it seems like Curtis is one of those guys that has bought in and he showed some fire early. Can you speak to his versatility and what he can do on the offensive end?
I like the fact that Curtis learned a lesson from the blue-white or red-white game to this game. I like that because he started that first half off and he was playing to score, right? And then the second half, he got a couple buckets in the flow. Tonight, it looked like he was playing in rhythm. He didn't force shots. I need him to understand that's how college basketball is. Now, there's another piece to his offensive game that he has to get better at, and that's passing the ball. And I feel like he'll compete. He's learning. He'll compete. He's not afraid. But I need him to know exactly what he's doing, when and where.
Hey, Kenny, the team turned the ball over at 22 times tonight. Do you think that was nerves, or whereas you guys are just trying to throw different groups together on the court together, them trying to get a feel for one another?
I think it's more, carelessness, to be honest with you. Unforced turnovers. You got three options and you choose the worst option and they get the ball. Trey White comes off a handoff and he has a shot. He takes another dribble, he has a floater. He takes another dribble, he has turnover, they steal the ball. Like, teams are going to collapse on us defensively, and we got to know and be willing passers. And when the shot is there, you take the shot, and we got two on the glass. The same for Tylor. Like, if the play is for you to come off a ball screen, take a back dribble, and throw it back, you cannot create an offense within your own mind that's not what the other four guys are doing that creates a bad situation. We had a lot of that tonight.
Kenny, as a follow-up, were these some things that you did see in practice, or was it more of just when the game played a different opponent, you were able to get a little bit more of that, just like observation?
I saw a little bit of it. I saw, a little bit of casualness. And that's normal when you play against each other from the summer to today. But I'm not making excuses. Listen, they scored 30 points in the paint. Come on. We're big, we're strong, we're athletic. 30 points in the paint, you're not focused somewhere. They scored 20 points off our turnovers. So exactly how good are we? If you're able to win a game by 30-something or whatever the lead was, and you give up 30 points in the paint, and you give up 20 points off turnovers, focus on being vicious, focus on being desperate, focus on taking care of the ball, focus on taking good shots, and let's see where we end up. If we get a group of guys that can focus on the little things that it takes to be a great team, how good can we be? And that's what I'm trying to figure out, who can be a part of that.
Yeah, Kenny, what was the thought process behind the platooning? Was that something you always were going to do for this first exhibition game?
I think for me, I'm evaluating each player. And I need to know who I can count on. Guys, listen, this is their first time playing in front of and against another opponent, a real opponent, meaning not the guys that they practice against, right? So for me, I got to know, how will Curtis handle this? How will Karan Davis handle this? How will Tylor handle this? How can he run the offense and know what we're doing at all times? Or will he veer off because that's what he did in high school and was good enough to get away with it? There's a big jump between high school and college, right? So I need to know who I can count on to do what and play within the system and play with discipline. So that, to me, is really what my evaluation was really about with platooning. Finding out which guys can play within the system, breaking down the tape at the end of this and saying, okay, you're behind in this area. Why were you hesitant in knowing this play? How could that be? We walk through the plays every day for 30 minutes. So I need to be able to evaluate when the lights are on, you're playing an opponent, what do you do?
Kenny, you mentioned earlier this week that one of the things you were looking out for in exhibition play overall was their level of chemistry, their level of cohesiveness. What were some of your thoughts in this game? The first time playing an actual opponent, it seemed like there were ebbs and flows to the chemistry during the game.
I thought you just said it. That was ebbs and flows. I thought the end of the half you saw like what we could be, where we got, I think it was an 18-1 run or something, 24-1 run. That shows that we can be desperate defensively. That shows that we can get out in transition. That shows that we can execute offensively and get good shots. I need this team to be able to do this regularly, and not just in spurts. So hopefully that answers your question.
Could you identify anything based on tendencies or personnel as to why it was kind of going up and down the way it was?
I just think that I couldn't, until I see the film, it's hard to really break it all the way down. But, to have 6 assists in the first half, and I think Sky had 5 of them, that's not the way we play. I need us as a team to have 15 assists, 10, 12 assists. And guys are going to try to do their own thing at times thinking they can make the play. Okay, but what does that do to your team when you feel like that?
Anything else for Coach? All right.
All right, thanks, guys.